करें माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय का करतल ध्वनि के साथ। देवियों सज्जनों, मैं आप सबसे निवेदन करूंगा अपने स्थान पर ही खड़े रहें, क्योंकि अब समय है राष्ट्रगान के लिए, इसलिए आप सभी अपने अपने स्थान पर खड़े रहें। निवेदन आप सभी से, आप सभी अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। देवियों सज्जनों, विकसित भारत को समर्पित 16वें सिविल सेवा दिवस के 2 दिवसीय समारोह के उद्घाटन सत्र में हार्दिक स्वागत अभिनंदन है माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति श्री जगदीप धनखड़ जी का। यह सचमुच हमारे लिए परम सौभाग्य की बात है कि इस कार्यक्रम में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में आपका शुभागमन हुआ है। हार्दिक अभिनंदन, वंदन और नमन माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय को। इस उद्घाटन सत्र की अध्यक्षता कर रहे माननीय केंद्रीय विज्ञान एवं तकनीक और पृथ्वी विज्ञान राज्य मंत्री स्वतंत्र प्रभार, साथ ही राज्य मंत्री कार्मिक, लोक शिकायत और पेंशन, प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय तथा परमाणु ऊर्जा और अंतरिक्ष विभाग माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी का भी इस अवसर पर करतल ध्वनि के साथ आइए हम स्वागत अभिनंदन करें उनकी गरिमामयी उपस्थिति के लिए। इस आयोजन में मंच पर गरिमामयी उपस्थिति है माननीय कैबिनेट सचिव श्री राजीव गौबा जी, माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति के सचिव श्री सुनील कुमार गुप्ता जी और सचिव प्रशासनिक सुधार तथा लोक शिकायत विभाग भारत सरकार श्री वी श्रीनिवास जी का आप सबके करतल ध्वनि से इन सभी विभूतियों का भी हार्दिक स्वागत अभिनंदन है। इस सभागार में उपस्थित भारत सरकार, राज्य सरकारों और केंद्र शासित क्षेत्रों के सभी अधिकारीगण और देश भर से हजारों की संख्या में वर्चुअल मोड में जुड़े सभी ऊर्जावान, प्रतिभावान सिविल सेवकों का भी हम हार्दिक अभिनंदन करते हैं, वंदन करते हैं, स्वागत करते हैं इस आयोजन में। मैं निवेदन करूंगा माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय से, माननीय मंत्री महोदय से, कैबिनेट सचिव महोदय से और मंचासीन विभूतियों से कि वे अपने करकमलों से दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए पधारें। माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति, माननीय मंत्री महोदय और सभी मंचासीन विभूतियों से निवेदन दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए। देवियों सज्जनों, देश के शीर्ष नेतृत्व के मार्गदर्शन में आप और हम यूं ही सुशासन के संकल्प को साकार करते रहें, उसे नित नए आयाम देते रहें और इसका लाभ समाज के अंतिम छोर पर रहने वाले व्यक्ति तक पूरी निष्ठा से पहुंचाते रहें और राष्ट्र प्रथम, सदैव प्रथम के संकल्प के साथ विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करने में अपनी भूमिका और समर्पित भूमिका निष्ठा के साथ, समर्पण के साथ हम निभाते रहें। यही हम सबकी कामना है और यही हम सबका संकल्प, यही प्रार्थना दीप प्रज्वलन के माध्यम से। बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय का, माननीय मंत्री महोदय का और मंचासीन विभूतियों का दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए। अब समय है जब मैं निवेदन करूं भारत सरकार के प्रशासनिक सुधार और लोक शिकायत विभाग के सचिव श्री वी श्रीनिवास जी से कि वे माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय और आप सभी का स्वागत करने के लिए पधारें अपने स्वागत संबोधन के साथ।
Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji, Honorable Minister of State for Personal Public Grievances and Pensions, Dr. Jiten Singh ji, Cabinet Secretary Shri Rajiv Gauba ji, former Cabinet Secretaries, Secretaries to Government of India, Chief Secretaries of States, award winners, esteemed colleagues from all services, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to extend a warm and hearty welcome to Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji, to the inaugural session of the 16th Civil Services Day events. Sir, your gracious presence inspires us on this momentous occasion as we rededicate ourselves to the service of the nation. I welcome Honorable Minister of State for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Dr. Jiten Singh Ji, and thank him for his constant support and guidance in all our endeavors. I welcome Cabinet Secretary Shri Rajiv Gauba Ji and thank him for his constant guidance and mentorship in the organization of the 16th Civil Services Day and in the timely implementation of the scheme for Prime Minister's Awards for Excellence in Public Administration. It is my privilege to welcome 9,000 officials in physical and virtual mode to the Civil Services Day celebrations commencing today. In his address to the nation on 15th August 2022, Prime Minister set the target of turning India into a developed nation in the Amrit Kal period. The theme for this year's Civil Services Day, Viksit Bharat, Empowering Citizens and Reaching the Last Mile, is most appropriate. Since 2016, Civil Services Day events were structured as two-day events with intense policy deliberations. Today's conference comprises of 2 plenary sessions and 4 breakaway sessions. Collectively, the plenary sessions and breakaway sessions will discuss the essential policy areas in attaining the key objectives of Viksit Bharat. Recommendations emanating from these deliberations are shared with central ministries, state governments, and district officers for adoption. The Honorable Prime Minister will deliver the Civil Services Day address and confer awards tomorrow. The details of the award-winning nominations have been presented in the citation booklet shared with you. 748 districts participated in the scheme in 2022 and 2,520 nominations were received. The near universal participation was achieved through comprehensive restructuring of the scheme as guided by the Prime Minister and implemented under the leadership of Cabinet Secretary. I am grateful to Cabinet Secretary and all the members of the empowered expert and screening committees who have participated in the evaluation process. The shortlisted best practices received under the scheme are being published as e-books in 2 volumes. Replication and institutionalization of award-winning nominations has been pursued through a dedicated portal, regional conferences, and national good governance webinars. Once again, it is my privilege to welcome the Honorable Vice President of India, the Honorable Minister of State for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Cabinet Secretary, all chairpersons and speakers at the plenary and breakout sessions, and all delegates participating in the 2-day event. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय श्री वी श्रीनिवास जी का। देवियों सज्जनों, आप जानते ही हैं प्रधानमंत्री उत्कृष्टता पुरस्कार लोक प्रशासन में हमारे सिविल सेवकों को मिलने वाला सर्वश्रेष्ठ सम्मान है। इन पुरस्कारों की यात्रा पर आधारित एक छोटी सी फिल्म हमने तैयार की है। आइए देखते हैं ये फिल्म।
भारत दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र तरक्की के हर दिन नए कीर्तिमान स्थापित करते भारत के अमृतकाल की यात्रा शुरू हो चुकी है। ये सपना बहुत विराट है और इसे साकार करने में सिविल सर्वेंट्स की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। लौह पुरुष सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल ने प्रशासनिक सेवा के पहले बैच को संबोधित करते हुए उन्हें स्टील फ्रेम कहा था। वैसे तो 21 अप्रैल 2006 को सिविल सर्विसेज डे की शुरुआत हुई, लेकिन इसे नई दिशा और नया स्वरूप मिला 2014 में वर्तमान सरकार के आने के बाद। पुरस्कारों के लिए कई चरणों में नीतिगत बदलाव के जरिए इसे अधिक तार्किक और रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेड बनाया गया।
सिविल सर्विस डे कई वर्षों से मनाया जाता है, लेकिन इस बार कुछ बदलाव करने का विचार आया। एक प्रकार से बदलाव की शुरुआत हुई है। धीरे धीरे ये शेप लेगा कि सिविल सर्विस डे को कैसे मनाया जाए।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री के मार्गदर्शन में कार्यक्रम को 2 दिवसीय बनाया गया। नए स्वरूप में कार्यक्रम के पहले दिन गवर्नेंस, जन कल्याण योजना, बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस पर विशेषज्ञों के अलग अलग सत्र आयोजित किए जाते हैं। इस दौरान केंद्रीय मंत्रियों की भी भागीदारी होती है। कार्यक्रम के दूसरे दिन माननीय प्रधानमंत्री प्रशासनिक सेवा के अधिकारियों को उनके विशिष्ट उपलब्धियों के लिए सम्मानित करते हैं और समारोह को संबोधित करते हैं। वर्ष 2016 में समान भागीदारी का मौका देने के उद्देश्य से राज्यों को 3 श्रेणियों में बांटा गया। पहला, पूर्वोत्तर और पहाड़ी राज्य, दूसरा, केंद्र शासित प्रदेश और तीसरा, अन्य राज्य। प्रक्रिया को प्रभावशाली बनाने के उद्देश्य से नामांकन प्रक्रिया को खत्म कर अधिकारियों से सीधे आवेदन मंगाए जाने लगे। आवेदन प्रक्रिया को सुगम बनाने के लिए DARPG पोर्टल पर एक विशेष वेबसाइट उपलब्ध करवाई गई।
कॉम्पिटिटिव कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म, राज्यों के बीच विकास की स्पर्धा हो, अच्छाई की स्पर्धा हो, गुड गवर्नेंस की स्पर्धा हो, बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस की स्पर्धा हो, मिनिमम गवर्नेंस का सपना स्पर्धा के तहत आगे निकल जाने का प्रयास हो। ये जो कॉम्पिटिटिव की बात है वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट में भी फील होना चाहिए कि सिविल सर्विस डे के लिए हम संकल्प करें कि हम भी 2 कदम और जाएंगे।
इन प्रयासों का अनुकूल परिणाम भी देखने को मिला है। 2016 में जहां भाग लेने वाले जिलों की संख्या 74 थी, जो महज 5 सालों में 10 गुना बढ़कर वर्ष 2022 में इसकी संख्या 743 हो गई। वर्ष 2017 में इनोवेशन की श्रेणी में पुरस्कार दिए गए। प्राकृतिक संरक्षण, आपदा प्रबंधन, जल संरक्षण, ऊर्जा, शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य, महिला और बाल सुधार से जुड़ी योजनाओं में नई सोच को मजबूती दे रहे केंद्र और राज्य व जिला स्तरीय संस्थाओं के लिए थे। प्रधानमंत्री ने 2017 के पुरस्कार समारोह को संबोधित करते हुए कहा था कि बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस को अन्य जिलों में भी अपनाए जाने की जरूरत है। DARPG ने अभिनव पोर्टल लॉन्च किया, जिसके जरिए पुरस्कृत अधिकारी अपने अनुभवों को साझा करते हैं, जिसका अनुकरण करते हुए दूसरे जिले भी लाभ उठा रहे हैं। 2018 में पहली बार इनोवेशन की श्रेणी में एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट पुरस्कार के नाम से सभी का परिचय हुआ। ये वो जिले हैं जिन्हें सभी महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्रों में समग्र विकास करना है। 2018 के प्रायोरिटी प्रोग्राम में प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना, प्रमोटिंग डिजिटल पेमेंट्स, दीन दयाल उपाध्याय ग्रामीण कौशल योजना शामिल थे। वर्ष 2020 में पुरस्कारों के लिए जिले के आर्थिक विकास की दिशा में जिला कलेक्टरों के प्रदर्शन को शामिल किया गया। इसके बाद पुरस्कारों के लिए तीसरा संशोधन 2021 में किया गया, ताकि इनोवेशन, रेप्लिकेशन और इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइजेशन जैसी पहलों के द्वारा कंस्ट्रक्टिव कंपटीशन को प्रोत्साहित किया जा सके। वर्ष 2022 में 2019, 20 और 2021 के लिए 47 पुरस्कार प्रदान किए गए। वर्ष 2022 के लिए इस वर्ष विकसित भारत, एम्पावरिंग सिटीजंस एंड रीचिंग द लास्ट माइल की थीम पर 15 पुरस्कार प्रदान किए जाने हैं। 2022 के प्राइम मिनिस्टर अवार्ड्स फॉर एक्सीलेंस इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए कुल 2520 नॉमिनेशन प्राप्त हुए। 743 जिलों ने इसमें पंजीकरण और सहभागिता निभाई, जो देश भर के कुल जिलों का 97% है।
इंडिया एट 100 डिस्ट्रिक्ट हम 25 साल में कहां ले जाएंगे। हिंदुस्तान में मेरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट नंबर 1 बना करके रहूंगा। कोई भी क्षेत्र ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मेरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट पीछे हो। कितनी ही प्राकृतिक मुश्किलों वाला जिला होगा तो भी मैं करके रहूंगा। ये इंस्पिरेशन, ये सपना, ये संकल्प और उसके लिए सिद्धि प्राप्त करने के लिए निरंतर पुरुषार्थ और परिश्रम, इसकी संभावनाओं को लेकर हम चले तो ये सिविल सर्विस डे हमारे लिए एक नई प्रेरणा का कारण बन जाएगा।
बहुत बहुत आभार आपके प्रोत्साहन के लिए। देवियों सज्जनों, ऐसी गौरवशाली परंपरा है प्रधानमंत्री उत्कृष्टता पुरस्कारों की और हमें गर्व है कि हम इसका हिस्सा हैं। अब मैं निवेदन करूंगा कार्मिक, लोक शिकायत, पेंशन और प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय में राज्य मंत्री माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी से कि वे इस अवसर पर अपने संबोधन के लिए पधारें माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी।
Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Dhankar ji, Cabinet Secretary Goiba Sahab, Mr. Sunil Gupta, my colleague in the Department of Administrative Reform, Secretary Mr. Srinivas. सबसे पहले तो हम सबको आभार प्रकट करना है। हम जानते हैं उपराष्ट्रपति जी की दिनचर्या किस प्रकार से व्यस्त रहती है और अनेकों प्राथमिकताएं रहती हैं। उसके बावजूद भी उन्होंने हमारे अनुरोध को स्वीकार किया और कुछ क्षण हमारे बीच बिता करके हम सबकी हौसला अफजाई की। I also use this opportunity to welcome you all on behalf of the Department of Administrative Reforms, also on the Ministry of Personnel. And as has been just told to you by Mr. Srinivas, we are this year celebrating the theme of Viksit Bharat, empowering citizens and reaching the last mile, which has been very close to the heart of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. And as was being spelled out to you, we each year determine certain flagship programs. On the basis of these, the awards are decided, and accordingly we have 4 of them today, which have already been narrated to you. And in that context, I also wish to congratulate the 15 awardees out of the 2,520 nominations or participations which were received. I think I would also have to pat Mr. Srinivas, because if I don't do, nobody else would do. For his constant effort, he's been toiling for it almost the entire year. He's been so passionately focused, and I think he's been sending me WhatsApp messages almost every half an hour to keep me updated. And to the extent that once I gathered the courage to tell him, please also write down which one of the messages do I need to read. Sometimes because it's difficult to read. But that apart, that also is a reflection of the kind of commitment and focus with which he's worked for this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, the very first group of civil servants was addressed by Sardar Patel in the year 1948, the then Home Minister, because this ministry or this department happened to be a part of the Home Ministry before it came directly under the charge of the Honorable Prime Minister. And later, as was being narrated to you in the film, from 2006, we have been observing this as a Civil Services Day. But why I am saying so is that the most important transformation, like many other things have got transformed as far as governance is concerned in the last 9 years. I think one of the most notable transformations is in the format of the Civil Services Day. Earlier on, it just used to be a ceremonial occasion. We would have civil servants coming here, getting together. It was more of a fellowship. They would recall their memories of Mussoorie, otherwise also catch up with their respective families, recall which batch, you batch, my batch. And then, of course, banquet and go back. And even the awards were decided on the basis of the individual officers' performance of the individual groups. It was soon after this government came in, none less than Prime Minister who gave us the cue, could it be wide-based? And therefore, for the first time, it was decided that we would base it on the basis of a competitive pratiyogita that happened across the country. And first time when we did that, I think it was 2015 or 16, we are very short of time, but still we could manage around 80 districts in a very short span of time, of 2-3 months. And we very proudly went before the Honorable Prime Minister to say that we had actually launched ourselves on the new course, and we had so many districts already participating. And I very vividly recall, I think it was Mr. Kothari at that time, the Prime Minister just put up the question. He said, how much does that amount to the percentage? And suddenly that had never occurred to us. We could recall this just about 10% of the entire number of districts in this country. But I'm glad we stand vindicated today. Today we have 94% of participation in this competition this year. And there has been so much of enthusiasm. All the districts, vying with each other to put in their performances, to prove themselves, and also then chasing the department to keep a follow-up of what is the status of their performance assessment happening. And so much of enthusiasm to vie with each other. And therefore, now coming back to what I was saying, when Sardar Patel first time addressed the civil servants, he made a very meaningful observation, and I quote, "Your predecessors have been brought up in the tradition in which they kept themselves aloof from the common run of the people, and it will be your bound duty to treat the common man of India as your own." Much has changed since then. Rather, I would say the change began at the midnight of freedom itself, with the very fact that the collector came to be known as District Development Commissioner. He was known as a collector because he collected revenue for the British Empire. We call him District Development Commissioner because he is supposed to collect revenue for the welfare state. And thereafter, the accountability has increased, the transparency has increased, technology interface has taken over in a big way. Now we are even heading for the artificial intelligence. And soon after this government came, Prime Minister gave us the mantra, maximum governance, minimum government. Now, in simple terms, what does it mean? As far as I understand, I think in a single sentence, it would mean a government which is a facilitator but not an intimidator. एक ऐसी सरकार जिसका अभाव भी नहीं कि वसीला हमारे लिए है, लेकिन अनुचित प्रभाव भी नहीं. And when we talk of a government like this, it means increased transparency, increased accountability, and most of all, increased citizen participation. And incidentally, we keep stressing, involve more and more citizen participation. We don't realize that citizen participation to an extent is also happening. It's already happened. Before we hand over it to the citizens have already taken over. And one of the most striking examples is that of the Swamitva program, conducted by the other department, which also I am associated with, the Survey of India. All the marking, mapping of the lands, the panchayats. Any owner, landowner or farmer can assess that and demarcate his land. And out of my fascination when I went there to see the pilot project, my first response was, "Ab patwari ka kya hoga?" The most coveted job in that cadre has become jobless because everything is now taken over by the citizens. And therefore, we have to prepare for that. And the other hallmark why I'm saying so is that, which is closely related to this department, is the grievance. The benchmark, one of the benchmarks of transparency, accountability is the grievance. And I have to compliment Mr. Srinivas and his team for having introduced CP grams. Earlier on, when this government came in 2014, we just had about 2 lakh grievances being filed across the country every year. Today, we have over 20 lakhs, 10 times over. And the other day, when we were sitting among the media persons, somebody asked, "Iska matlab hai ki Modi sarkar ke khilaf shikayaton ki sankhya badh gayi?" As they like to take a punch. So I said, नहीं, इसका जवाब मियाँ गालिब 150 बरस पहले दे गए थे कि जब तवक्को ही उठ गई गालिब, क्यों किसी का गिला करे कोई. You complain, you lodge your grievance where you have an expectation of redressal. Otherwise, you give up the chase. कि साहब ये तो हाथ में आना ही नहीं है इन्होंने. We were prompt. We worked very hard. We ensured 95 to 100% disposal every week. Every Friday evening, we were personally monitoring. I was myself making random calls to some of the complainants. And now we have institutionalized a mechanism where one of our officers sits and virtually, after the redressal of the complaint, calls up the complainant to find out the level of satisfaction. Similarly, Mission Karmi Yogi is also one of the components, because if you have to have last mile delivery, as is the theme, you have to be competent for that. So Mission Karmi Yogi is one of the novel experiments whereby any officer taking up an assignment, whether it be after empanelment or a transfer, would be able to build in-hand capacity inside him or her for the new assignment. Earlier on, what happened, suppose I become health secretary, then I've been taught to impose the writ of the office. Rightly so, sarkar ka iqbal bana ke rakhna. So I have to pose that I can write a better prescription than a doctor. Next day, get transferred to agriculture, I have to pretend that I know more farming than a farmer. But here, actually, you will have that confidence. Overnight, you can prepare yourself for the new assignment. So I think that's one of the, we have used technology and transparency to bring in also the efficiency of delivery. and the credit goes entirely to Prime Minister Modi. The aspirational district was another experiment of similar nature, where we decided on the scientific basis the indices. Earlier on, what happened? Arbitrarily, some of the districts were declared as backward districts. Here we have indices. I don't have to tell you all because all the collectors are familiar with it. We have one of the sub-themes is also based on that. We have 40-odd indices. You may be good in health, you may be lying down in education, how best you come to the state level and then to the national level, as was being said by the Prime Minister in the short film. So there's a constant competition happening. We have a dashboard which is real-time updated. And it's absolutely objective. And when this aspiration list was declared, since I was also involved in that, the very morning I started receiving calls for none else but my own constituency. कि साहब दिल्ली में बैठ करके अपनी constituency का एक भी जिला नहीं डाल सके. So why I'm saying so is, by doing so, most of the reforms brought in by Prime Minister Modi are actually also initiating us in a new kind of a political culture, a work culture. So I was at pains to make my own people understand that, look here, gone are the days कि अगर रेल के मंत्री बन जाओ तो सबसे पहले अपने गांव में रेल का स्टेशन खोलना है, चाहे कोई पैसेंजर है कि नहीं है. ये ज़माना जाता रहा, सरकार दूसरी है. We go by certain objective parameters. And therefore, aspirational district is not by the will and preference of any government functionary. It is based on certain objective parameters. So we have actually introduced a new kind of a culture in governance. And I'm glad under Mr. Srinivas is now percolating down aspirational blocks. And last year he introduced a program, Prashasan, Gaon Ki Or. Also good governance indexes up to the district level, already done for Jammu and Kashmir, already done for Uttar Pradesh, so that they also have that same scientific parameter to assess themselves, within themselves, and also vis-a-vis others. Assistant Secretaries, 3 months stint introduced for the first time. Before you go to the respective state cadre, you come here, you have a sense of the priorities of the central government. Also, you have an opportunity to cultivate mentors. And most of all, I have to compliment the Department of Administrative Reforms and team led by Mr. Srinivas for the successful Swachhata 2.0 campaign. I think for the first time, the realization dawned, not only in the government circles, but also in the society, that Swachhata could also fetch you money. The Swachhata campaign carried out last year just for 1 month could get rupees 370.83 crore, which was deposited in the state exchequer. I think that deserves to be clapped so that you remember it. And you can do it in your respective districts. And how did this happen? No, I'm not asking for clap for myself, but clap for the money, this new discovery. Because we had a lot of electronic scrap. Computer खराब हो गया, नया डाल दिया हमारे टेंडर ने. Typewriter खराब हो गया तो मैं सुबह गया तो नया typewriter आ गया. तो पिछला कहाँ गया कोई पता नहीं. So there was huge junk, electronic junk. Mouse है तो screen नहीं है, screen है तो mouse है. सब कुछ है तो keyboard नहीं है. Mobile है तो उसका screen नहीं है. Speaker है तो hearing device नहीं है. जब सब वो इकट्ठा कर करके एक मार्केट में दे दिया गया, privately he can give you the address also where it is assembled, because they are assembling and preparing new gadgets. And this is how this huge revenue was generated. When we spoke about it, many of the people from the society, including women folks, said कि हमें तो मालूम ही नहीं था बच्चों ने इतने सारे मोबाइल फेंक के रखे हैं हमारे घर में. So this is a new kind of introduction which has been done. That's why many of these governance reforms are also actually social reforms. And besides this amount, 89.85 lakh square feet was cleared, which is all full of junk lying over there. The corridors blocked, even lanes choked with junk. And so much of land has been cleared. And I think in a separate session, I'm sure we'll have in 2 days, you would see what innovative creations have come up there. Some of them have brought up restaurants over there. Some of them have brought up gardens over there. There's a huge land. I mean, this is land which will sell like anything in the commercial market. And most of all, that the online experiment conducted by this ministry and also ARPG has been so successful that when COVID struck us all of a sudden, none of us were prepared for it. I have the confidence, and also I'm proud to say that at least in this ministry and this department, our work did not suffer even for a single day. Rather, the output sometimes was even more, because our colleagues were working even on the weekends, on the holidays, which they otherwise normally would not do. And one of the officers said the new dictum should be maximum output, minimum attendance, because 50% of them were working from home. And to tell you, give you an instance, in the Information Commission, which is also associated with this ministry, in one single month of June 2020, when we were at the height of the COVID pandemic, the disposal of the RTI applications were higher than the corresponding month of June 2019, the non-COVID times. Because the online functioning was so prompt, it saved time. And therefore, before I conclude, now we are into the exercise of preparing in the same department, Vision 2047. And for that, I think it's not an easy task, because we tend to look at 2047 through the prism of 2023. But there's going to be so many important. The other day I was saying, first of all, we'll have to determine what would be the role of a civil servant, how much would be the role of civil servant, or whether at all there will be a role of civil servant. Everything would be taken up by the citizen and the artificial intelligence. So as Churchill once said, the longer you look back, the further you look forward. I think the easiest way is to look back 25 years back. 1998, what was there new? It was a video cassette, the video recorder. Where is it now? Unheard of. If you speak to children, they laugh at you. What was new? नेताओं के घरों में कतारें लगी रहती थी कार्यकर्ता की कि एसटीडी का बूथ दे दीजिए, बच्चे का भविष्य बन जाएगा. जब तक बच्चा बड़ा हुआ, एसटीडी booth closed down. So it's not easy. So that is why we have very diligently embarked on creating indices with the support of the Capacity Building Commission. We'll create indices which would be relevant in 2047 and then focus on the officers who are in the age group of 30s, because they have another 25 years to put in before India celebrates its 100 years of independence, because they are blessed with the privilege to be the architects of century India. And they're also blessed with the privilege of holding the feast or the festival of century India, which we or may not be there around. But our responsibility today would be to contribute to the capacity building of this age group of officers. If we are able to do that effectively, we would be doing justice to the century India, the India of 2047. Once again, thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, sir.
बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी का उनके प्रोत्साहन और उनके प्रेरक संबोधन के लिए। दिव्य सज्जनों, नेशनल सेंटर फॉर गुड गवर्नेंस ने वर्ष 2022-23 के दौरान डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिफॉर्म्स और पब्लिक ग्रीवेंसेस की छत्रछाया में नेशनल गुड गवर्नेंस वेबिनार सीरीज का आयोजन किया था। इसमें 13 अलग अलग वेबिनार्स उन अलग अलग थीम्स पर किए गए जो गुड गवर्नेंस के अंतर्गत आते थे और जिन्हें प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स अवार्ड फॉर एक्सीलेंस इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से पुरस्कृत किया गया था। उसी वेबिनार सीरीज के कंटेंट को कंपाइल करके एक पुस्तक का रूप दिया गया है। मैं निवेदन करूंगा माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय से कि वे अपने कर कमलों से रिमोट का बटन दबाकर इस पुस्तक का डिजिटल विमोचन करने की कृपा करें। बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय का। देव सज्जनों, आज हम सब के लिए बहुत गौरव की बात है कि ऐसी विभूति जिनका विधि, संसदीय और सार्वजनिक जीवन में गहन अनुभव और महत्वपूर्ण योगदान है, ऐसे माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति श्री जगदीप धनखड़ जी हम सबके बीच मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में विराजमान हैं। मैं निवेदन करूंगा माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय से कि वे इस अवसर पर अपने संबोधन से हम सबका मार्गदर्शन करें। माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय।
Very good morning to all of you and my greetings. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Minister of State for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Sri Rajiv Gauba, Cabinet Secretary, Government of India. Sri Sunil Kumar Gupta, Secretary, Vice President of India. Sri V. Srinivas, Secretary, Department of Administrative Reforms. Chief Secretaries, Secretaries present, distinguished members of the Civil Service. Civil Services Day is an occasion for civil servants to rededicate themselves to the cause of citizens and renew their commitments and excellence in work. This is of considerable significance for the nation, reminding us all of the spinal role this class in administration and development journey of our country. Indeed, an honor and privilege to be part of this seminal occasion, an opportunity for the central government to evaluate the work of various departments and equally for the civil service to reflect, to enhance its contributions. Such self-auditing is highly productive. It was on this day in 1947, the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, referred to the civil servants as the steel frame of India. The executors of the policies of the government of the day, a pillar on which the wheel of governance that churns policies and programs for the country. Vision of the Sardar, the unifier of modern India, continues to inspire and motivate civil servants, as also all of us, across the country to make exemplary contributions for the nation. It is our collective dharma to always keep the interest of Bharat uppermost. We all are proud Indians and must take pride in our astounding accomplishments and growth, as also our civilizational ethos that date thousands of years ago. Our global image at the moment is the highest ever. The world today awaits voice of Bharat on global issues. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement in 2020, I quote, "The age of expansionism is over. This is the era of development," unquote. And in 2022, quote, "Today's era is not of war," unquote, became voice of the world, defining our global stance. Nation always first has ever to be our guiding principle. Those out of line need to reflect and revisit their thought process, as anything otherwise will be antithetical to our nationalism. Friends, privileged in availing this opportunity to connect with the world's most potent human resource, repository of enormous talent and expertise, you all are commendably engaged in transforming lives of 1/6 of the humanity. As a class, you are role model to millions and powerful influencers for effecting change and growth. Your positioning is on merit, evaluated by the most stringent selection process. It is beyond any largesse or patronage. It is known scenario that even after succeeding in the toughest exam, the fiscal benefits of civil servants are not comparable to the alternatives available. However, there is something unique and special about civil services that make it envy of your peers in the alternatives. It affords you sublime and godly opportunity to serve the people and bring about upliftment. You are significant stakeholders in ensuring progress of the nation and so positioned to improve the lives of our citizens. You are the most visible and effective agents of change that is dotting our landscape. Civil service is the backbone of our government and plays a crucial role in smooth running of the nation. You in Amritkar, and some of you, are warriors of 2047, laying foundations that will shape Bharat when it celebrates its centenary of independence. In recent years, to enhance work efficiency of civil service, series of steps have been taken securing increased flexibility in mechanisms and modalities of implementation policy directives, rationalization of multiplicity of accountability, and firm defining of goals and benchmarks to be achieved, thereby providing a clear perspective vision that is quintessence of any development. Friends, incorporation of Section 17, capital A, in the Prevention of Corruption Act, 1988, in 2018, is a step in the right direction. It now regulates investigation of issues as regards the recommendations made or decisions taken by public servant in the discharge of official functions and duties by providing prior approval of the concerned authority for investigation. This also affords the civil servant play in the joints. This enhanced assurance in decision making is already generating exponential growth and results. The theme of this year's Civil Service Day is indeed very apt. Viksit Bharat, aimed at empowering citizens and reaching the last mile. The theme underscores the government's firm resolve and commitment to achieving a more equitable and prosperous India for all its citizens by engaging in inclusive growth. Civil service is the fulcrum for achieving Viksit Bharat. Through its commitment to achieve Sankalp to Siddhi, this theme is reflection of the preamble of our Indian Constitution that seeks to secure for all citizens justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. A soothing scenario. The nation is fast marching on this path with your momentous contributions. 2 plenary sessions and 4 breakaway sessions will for sure afford an opportunity of meaningful interaction and exchange of ideas. There will be enough, and I'm very confident about it, enough take home for you all from the discussions and deliberations that will contribute significantly to the ongoing efforts of various ministries. Chintan Shivers, well thought out mechanism where ministries, departments engage at all levels to bring a whole of government approach have been rewarding experience. Such a self-assessment and auditing enhances transparency, accountability in system operations. The Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances is commendably promoting excellence in governance. Its efforts towards driving administrative reforms, promoting innovation, and strengthening citizen-centric service delivery are bearing fruit and transforming the way government operates. Today, thanks to a series of governmental policies and initiatives, India, that is Bharat, is on the rise as never before. It is inspired by the surge of aspirations and innovations and validated by the achievements of our citizens. This coupling of leadership vision, genius of our people, and commitment of the civil service makes Bharat a favorite global destination of opportunity and investment. The country has the tag of being the fastest growing large economy in the world. As a consequence of this seamless, synergetic functioning, the vision of leadership is being catalyzed by the civil service into ground reality, resulting in extensive adoption of technologies like digital platforms, artificial intelligence, big data science, and Internet of Things. Innovative and inclusive solutions are mitigating and addressing the challenges faced by the marginalized communities. The solutions are fructifying the people's aspirations in access to quality health care, education, and basic amenities. These have been met with steely resolve and determination by the civil service. Creditable execution by civil service of governmental initiatives and policies has resulted in India becoming a hub of global value chain to facilitate a new entrepreneurial culture and facilitate innovator startups. All these are now an essential part of public administration to meet the demands of an Atmanirbhar economy, our new mantra. People at large are beneficiaries of emergence of an ecosystem that promotes series of system solutions. Minimum government, maximum governance, direct benefit transfer, shift from rule to role, citizen centricity, transparency and accountability in public service delivery are your greatest of attainments. Like our polity, civil service composition is continually getting more representative, encompassing all societal segments. Some in foreign countries are yet to contend with it, and they think it is not so. But the change is so dramatic, so revolutionary, that it can be felt in every geographical area of our country. Now young talent from remote villages, from humble families, from marginalized communities is joining the civil service. These young people have closely seen for themselves the positive role that public administration plays in eradicating poverty and improving chances of realizing their full potential. It is also heartening to see that more and more talented young women are joining the civil service, ready to face challenges of public administration. I have no doubt their presence will be very wholesome, will lead to a more sensitive and well-rounded bureaucracy. And this, friends, is not a gender-oriented reflection. It is marked by objectivity. Vision and policies of political executive. This is a very, very critical area. Civil service delivery is the best when you get a vision. So vision and policies of political executive are quite essential to optimizing your performance and exploitation of your talent and potential. Fortunately, this today is a ground reality, with there being environment for optimal output, and that is taking place. With steadfast and visionary leadership and stable governance at the helm, there is emergence of wholesome ecosystem in recent years, enabling unleashing of bureaucratic prowess in expeditious execution of policies. Inclusive growth, and this inclusive growth, which was just a concept, now ground reality, when benefits are accruing to those who needed them most, is now a new norm. This has revolutionized governance at all levels, particularly in rural and semi-rural areas. Availing technology extensively has been a big game changer in governance. Its impact is being felt in every walk of life. CoWIN portal for vaccination success has been acknowledged globally, and I have felt the warmth of it on my 2 visits abroad. Civil servants played laudable role at all levels in the country to fight COVID-19, setting a new global benchmark. No civil servant in the world faced the challenges beyond COVID while you were tackling COVID. Yet you brought about great success and laurels to the nation. Civil servant mindset focus is now upon service delivery to the common man. Technological involvement has speeded up service delivery and in the process ended a long-standing menace of middlemen. I have no hesitation in saying, civil service has never created middlemen. It has been bane of civil service. They have invariably suffered over decades by the presence of middlemen. The achievements now are astoundingly impressive, be it in the field of rural housing, cooking gas, sanitation, drinking water, power supply, bank accounts, or digitization of payments. Transparency and accountability are now inalienable facet and part of well-embedded order. Exponential growth is also due to empowerment of the system by introduction of technology. And this technology has gone to the villages. People are availing it extensively to get service delivery. And this is a big relief to the people who never dreamt of it. Aspirational districts and smart cities, imaginative ideas are changing the landscape. I was so happy and delighted to note that a district where a district magistrate would not like to go in that position is now a hot favorite destination because it is aspirational district. He gets an opportunity to take it to a higher level. This is a big change. Well thought out and effective execution as regards aspirational districts and smart cities proves, and this is very significant, I have personally learnt of it, what a regular indicator-based monitoring can achieve. To an ordinary man, smart city means it has to be smart. But to you, it meant what? In an authentic, spinal manner, it must be smart. That is, young people and others living there must have access to that kind of technology and facilities which were taken once to be exclusive and preserved of the metros. Saturation approach is a great concept. A Gandhian recipe for growth has been realized on ground by and large, has ensured accrual benefits to the last man in the queue. This could not have been possible without your passion, mission, commitment, and direction. Importance of a stable government for effecting development can never be overstated. Friends, I was elected to Parliament in 1989 and had the occasion to be a minister during that period. We were running a government of more than 12 parties. I am one of the very few who know the constraints of coalition governance. In that perspective, political developments in 2014 and 2019 are watershed moment. This has turned out to be impactful for governance and, more importantly, has contributed massively to the rise of global image for this country. Friends, sanitization of power corridors, of deeply embedded undesirable elements who for long extra legally leveraged governance is a milestone accomplishment and has been widely acclaimed. The presence of these undesirable elements was never due to the civil service. the civil service had to suffer them and in pain and anguish. This is no longer a situation now. Eclipse, and this is another very significant change that has taken place. Eclipse of the once flourishing lucrative industry of power brokers is particularly a boon to civil service because it enables the civil service to unleash its energy without fear or favor. India is on the rise, friends, as never before. And the rise, I have no doubt, is unstoppable. Thanks to the effective implementation of affirmative initiatives and policies, we are a global destination of investment and opportunity. India in recent years has had spectacular successes that have transformed our country while setting an example to the rest of the world. Take for an instance a simple thing. 220 crore people got vaccination. Their certification is available on their mobile. No country in the world can match this feat. All this is because of the leadership vision and your most effective, devoted execution of it. Look at the scale of it. I had the occasion to reflect to one of the world leaders while I was abroad, that you care for your paper industry. We in our country are not very careful about it. He said, how come? Because it was certainly a different matter altogether. I said, 220 crore certifications, which should have been multiply in paper in our country are in digital form. So paper industry thereby has suffered. A great achievement, you could see the point. Genius of our people and commitment of the civil service has helped us in attainment of a great milestone in September 2022. And this was with double satisfaction. We became the 5th largest economy in the world and leaving behind our erstwhile colonial rulers. By all indications, by turn of the decade, we are bound to be the 3rd largest economy on the planet. Direct transfer of fiscal benefit at gigantic scale has fixed pernicious leakage in public service delivery. Friends, reflect at the anguish and pain of a former prime minister who asserted in 80s that only fraction reaches to the beneficiary. This leakage has been plugged irretrievably. It can never take place now. The blueprint of growth of India had been largely earlier on the shelf, gathering dust. It is a ground reality now. It is being executed. If we go by Global Innovation Index, we have jumped by 40 positions. And this is reflected by research and filing of patents. We are the 3rd largest ecosystem with over 80,000 startups and 3rd highest number of unicorns in the world, envy of the most developed nations. Such a phenomenal incremental growth trajectory is outcome of a series of affirmative steps and initiatives, as also evolution of ecosystem enabling our citizens to fully exploit their talent and potential. Friends, this is just not on paper. These are just not words. Now every young mind is enabled by virtue of this ecosystem to exploit his and her talent to the best of capacity. It is constitutional imperative that there should be uniformity in administration across the union and states so that federalism blossoms into cooperative federalism as envisioned by the Prime Minister. In this emergence, civil service, particularly at the top level, has a critical role to play. challenges being encountered by civil service are being addressed. I don't want to share, but there are challenges. Even if we look at the contemporaneous scenario, they arise in various parts of the country, but they are being addressed. I personally know the Honorable Minister. He is so passionate in missionary zeal to bring it about. All India service function with interchangeability common to the Union and states, a significant facet of federalism. However, the stance of some states on this count is a cause of concern. This scenario is straining the quality of civil service apart from denting the federal system. There is an urgent need to smoothen out the issues so that efficacy and sublimity of civil service is not lost. Steps, I'm sure, are being taken in the right direction. There are some concerning areas that call for reflection at your end as individuals, as also through associations. Steel frame of India emasculation is taking place in some parts of the country due to ingratiation with political masters, straining federal structure and making transparency and accountability a casualty. I wouldn't say more, because those who are before me feel it and know it. Friends, some bureaucrats at state level are turning out to be a great challenge to politicians. They wield more power than the politicians. The power they wield is envy of any politician. There needs to be introspection and counseling of them so that they fall in line with the spinal belief the civil service has and the reputation it has nurtured over the decades. Scrupulous adherence to All India Service Conduct Rules 1968 and related legal regimes is not optional. By way of illustration, there is a prescription in the rules. I am particularly referring to the Rule 3 capital A, which came by way of an amendment. I quote, "A member of the service who has received oral direction from his official superior shall seek clarification of the same in writing as early as possible," unquote. In some parts, this is observed in breach. Governance by oral directives, fiats, has unfortunately graduated to an acceptable form of governance that can come to an end only when there is counseling and guidance from your powerful fraternity, either through association or otherwise. Functioning in harmony and togetherness between the center and states is a constitutional imperative. And in this, civil service plays pivotal role by exhibiting scrupulous adherence to conduct legal regime. I have been witness to a scene I thought I had never seen when I was there in my earlier position. I wouldn't say more, all of you know about it. These critical issues call for resolution beyond scratching the surface. Friends, senior amongst you will have to dive deep to contain this mess and these aberrations that are in micro category, very small, and in some parts. And I am sure this is achievable if some of you at senior level take initiative personally or official. Friends, in 80s, when I was an advocate, I could never have a sound sleep unless my name appeared in the press. I was a young lawyer. Over the years, after I became a senior advocate, in 89-90, I learned this was not the right thing. But you belong to the most distinguished category of human resource. You are put in a position by the toughest examination, I say. And trust me, there is no one in the country who can say, I never aspired to hold your position. He may be anyone in judiciary, legislature, or any walk of life or industry. His dream always would have been to get into the shoes which you are wearing. I would therefore say, media bug has afflicted some in the civil service. There is need for systemic guidance by your structured association. Trust me, it is never rewarding. Friends, bureaucracy suffers a natural course interventions from legislature, judiciary, and political executive. In my capacity as chairman Rajya Sabha, I have structured it. We need to pay highest respect and regard to our civil servants. We cannot initiate a process by drop of a hat. This receives highest attention at my level in my capacity as chairman Rajya Sabha. The institutions are expected to act in harmony. They can't be in confrontation. They can't be in complainant mode. They have to be in collaborative form. We all must work towards it. Doctrine of separation of powers, gifted as you all are intellectually and otherwise, has to be observed if our democracy has to blossom and sustain. I leave it at that. Mission Karmayogi, a national program for civil service capacity building launched in September 2020, is turning out to be a game changer, shaping future-ready civil service with the right attitude, skill and knowledge aligned to the vision of New India. And it is impacting even people who are at the lower rank of working for the government. Their capacity is being enhanced. They are being motivated and inspired. And when this has happened, you will see a different kind of smile on their face. That the system is helping them to improve themselves. It is in the fitness of things that PM Awards for Excellence in Public Administration have been revamped with a new approach in 2021 with the objective to encourage constructive competition, innovation, replication, and institutionalization of best practices. In the film which you saw a little while ago, the Honorable Prime Minister impressed on it. This program can't be ritualistic. These 2 days, these 48 hours will define what India will be in coming years. This is the most significant investment of time to enhance productivity and growth of the nation. These awards serve as an inspiration for civil servants across the country to strive for excellence in public administration. Consequently, friends, your passion in execution of policies with mission and zeal is being increasingly reflected in optimizing welfare of the people. This has resulted in sea change in the rise of India, empowering citizens by leveraging public digital platforms promoting a sustainable economy, piped water for all through the National Jal Jeevan Mission. I'll pause here for a minute. I was called upon to inaugurate one program, Har Ghar Nal. Now the secretary of the department had come. The Honorable Minister was there. They had before me a screen. I said, Rajasthan. They went to Rajasthan. I said, Jhunjhunu, my district. They went to Jhunjhunu. I said, Kitana, my village. They went to Kitana. And then I said, how about the status of my house? Friends, I was so enthused. देश बदल रहा है. वहाँ मेरे घर का नाम था क्योंकि वहाँ नल था. और किन किन के घर नल थे जिनको मैं जानता हूं वो मुझे पता है, और किन के नहीं थे वो भी थे, and it was a very high percentage. Holistic health for all through PM Jan Arogya Yojana, improving quality and education through Samiksha Kendras, and rest we are doing it. Just take a simple illustration how economy gets transformed. Ayushman Bharat. It is not just giving benefit to an individual. It has resulted in growth of medical education, medical colleges, nursing colleges, paramedical courses, hospitals, nursing homes, what not. This has brought about such a gigantic change. The PM Awards are a befitting tribute to the hard work and dedication of our civil servants and serve as a reminder of the critical role the public service plays in our lives. My congratulations, I can see that side. Award winners for their well-deserved recognition. Their success stories would certainly inspire and motivate many civil servants to pursue their replication and dissemination. It is gratifying to note that in Amrit Kal, where obviously the expectations are high, are elevated, the administration's delivery by realizing government policies is commendable. Friends, we are the largest and mother of democracy. Our democracy is most functional and vibrant at all levels. The village, the municipalities, the states, and the center. Friends, you will come to know, in no constitution of any other country, you will find a provision for panchayat. We have it in our part 9 of the constitution. Municipalities, part 9, capital A of the constitution. And of course, state and parliament. So this kind of hierarchical democratic mechanism, you don't have anywhere else in the world. Some of the younger members of civil service know the power of Jila Pramukh, power of Pradhan, and the great role they play in transforming rural and urban areas. It's a big achievement. Friends, some in the world find it, I do not know for what cause, to question us on some of our greatest achievements. Our level of freedom of expression is next to none, and most of you must have felt it. Not because of you, but you are aware of it. Can there be a greater freedom of expression than what we have in this country? I am sure no one can match us. I therefore dare say there is no tangible reflection of unforced silence as some keen to be voicing. It indicates their disconnect with the ground reality. How can in the largest democracy and mother of democracy there be unforced silence? I, for one, would never subscribe to such kind of a thought process which does not reflect the ground reality at all. Friends, indeed painful to suffer some who adopt hostage stance to our phenomenal growth and flourishing democratic values. I cannot be party to anyone who goes in the country or outside to belittle your achievements, to run down your accomplishments, to the most effective contribution you have made in changing lives of the people. I cannot be party to it. In and out, some of these people engage in misadventure to demean, decry, taint, and tarnish our democracy, constitutional values, and hard-working people in the government, the civil service. It is baffling why some amongst us enjoyably resort to self-goals when it comes to economic growth, policy making, and implementation. I pause here for a moment. You are a powerhouse of intellect. Senior people amongst you know what others are saying. They would speak from some part of the globe. At one point of time, they must have been some kind of position to say, oh, all is going down the drain. They are doing two things: disservice to the nation and an affront to your hard work. We have to antidote it. We can never be party to it. This self-goal mechanism must end. Civil servants are eminently suited to be guiding lights, as also in promoting economic nationalism and observance of fundamental duties. I firmly believe in it. Go to a taluka. People will look at the SDM. Go to a district, they will look at the collector. Forget who else are there in the district, irrespective of their wealth, power, or position. Political power also. Go to the commissionerate, they look at you. So you are most eminently suited to bring about this revolutionary change of promoting economic nationalism. Should a country of our size be importing kites, candles, furniture, earthen lamps, and the like? And observance of fundamental duties, if this emanates from you at all levels, people will lend ears because they love to hear a real achiever. And you are real achievers. Friends, we must inculcate discipline in the people. Our Bharat will be very different if on road we outclass developed nations in observance of discipline. If you as a class take it upon yourselves to bring about this revolutionary change, the attainment is not difficult. Always remember, I say so because some have forgotten. Be you ever so high, the law is always above you. None is above law, none is beyond the reach of law. And we must never make an issue when the law takes its course. The issues are required to be battled in courts of law, and we have a good hierarchical mechanism thereof, rather than take to streets. Friends, it's a soothing aspect by and large. I live a very small category, very, very small category, a minuscule category. Civil servants are optimally unleashing their energy in the service of the nation, making all of us realize national dharma is imperative and not an option. I am confident that in the unprecedented growth trajectory of the nation, on way to attaining global place at pinnacle with the attainment of centenary celebrations in 2047, and in this civil service, I am sure will be spinally supportive. Our democracy on path to unprecedented growth and glory needs its wings, and the wings of our democratic polity are the legislature, the judiciary, the executive. They are required to act in tandem, togetherness, for smooth upward flight. All must work to ensure it. These constitutional entities, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, can ill afford to weaponize their authority by effecting incursions in the domain of the other. Legislature, judiciary, and executive serve best the nation when they function in their respective domains. Friends, you all are aware more than I am. Dangers are emanating from outfits, within and without, including some foreign universities, doubling up as centers of subversive anti-Bharat activities out to demolish our civilization ethos and sully and muddy our growth. Disturbing insights in the hidden agenda of the so-called elites in India is alarming and unfortunately getting reflected in our constitutional institution working. I cannot imagine a more elitist group than the one before me. It has only to be recognized. We have developed a system in our country, friends, where iconic status is accorded on parameters that are baffling. We can't allow just anyone to calibrate and recalibrate and assess functioning of our bureaucracy, our policies, or vision of our leadership. We know what is under our ground. Someone has not to tell about it. Friends, I have no doubt it is the responsibility of the Parliament to safeguard India's national sovereignty and cultural integrity from any kind of threats, internal or external. Have my assurance, and I say it with emphasis, before the August audience, Parliament alone is in charge of legislation and competent to enforce it. Legislation is exclusive preserve of the Parliament, the most authentic reflector of the mindset and will of the people at large. It is not optional, it is not negotiable, and that shall not be allowed to happen. Under our constitutional scheme, neither the judiciary nor legislature can emerge as powerful political actor. This is best left to the political class. We should not make an effort in an area which is beyond us. Friends, I share the joy and concurrence of millions of our countrymen when I assert we have full trust and belief in your intellect and capacity to reach and outreach as the most potent influencers to neutralize anti-Bharat narratives and to effect execution of policies of the government and visionary leadership. I seek to conclude by reminding you all of reflections of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and these reflections were imparted by father of our Indian Constitution in his last speech to the Constituent Assembly. And a last speech is always the most important. Till that time, I quote, "What perturbs me greatly is the fact that not only India has once before lost her independence, but she lost it by the infidelity and treachery of some of her own people. But this much is certain, that if the parties place creed above country, our independence will be put in jeopardy a second time and probably be lost forever. This eventuality we must all resolutely guard against. We must be determined to defend our independence with the last drop of our blood," unquote. I beseech all of you to bear in mind these very significant observations of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and continue on a path where India is gifted with visionary leadership and powerful bureaucracy. Nothing is beyond our reach because our recent accomplishments have so demonstrated. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय का उनके इस प्रेरक संबोधन के लिए, उनके मार्गदर्शन के लिए, उनके एक एक शब्द के लिए जो हमारे जीवन में हमें प्रेरणा देते रहेंगे। महोदय, आपके शब्द नए भारत, आत्मनिर्भर भारत और विकसित भारत के निर्माण में हमारे संकल्पों को और मजबूती देंगे, ये विश्वास हम सबको है। और इसी विश्वास के साथ आइए हम सब अपने अपने स्थान पर खड़े हों राष्ट्रगान के लिए। आइए एक बार पूरी ऊर्जा और सम्मान से भरी करतल ध्वनि के साथ आभार व्यक्त करें माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय का, उनकी गरिमामय उपस्थिति के लिए, उनके संबोधन के लिए, उनकी प्रेरणा के लिए जो आज उनसे मार्गदर्शन मिला है। साथ ही आभार डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी माननीय मंत्री महोदय का, माननीय कैबिनेट सचिव श्री राजीव गौबा जी, माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय के सचिव श्री सुनील कुमार गुप्ता जी और मंचासीन विभूतियों का आभार। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि अभी एक एग्जीबिशन माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय उसका उद्घाटन करेंगे। अवॉर्डीज जिनके इनिशिएटिव्स को वहाँ डिस्प्ले किया गया है, दे विल रीच देयर टू देयर रिस्पेक्टिव स्टॉल्स। आप सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है सिर्फ 5 मिनट के लिए अभी अपने स्थान पर ही बैठें और उसके बाद हम सब चाय के लिए प्रस्थान करेंगे, लेकिन अभी सिर्फ 5 मिनट के लिए प्लीज रिमेन सीटेड फॉर 5 मिनट्स ओनली।